the scene. Verse 12. Now David was the son of that Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse. And he had 8 sons, and the man went among men for an old man in the days of Saul. And the 3 elder sons of Jesse went and followed Saul to the battle. And the names of the 3 sons, and they go into the 3 sons. We're not going to take a look at that. And David was the youngest, 14. And the 3 elders followed Saul, but David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. We're going to talk a bit about that next week, because there is an amnesia that happens with Saul from chapter to chapter. He knows David well, but doesn't even remember him here. But we'll take a look at that next week, because God has a reason for this. And the Philistines drew near morning and evening, presenting himself. Now, before we go further into David, I want you to see what the enemy does. These are God's people, the chosen people. And the enemy comes when worship is happening every day. In the morning, as they're worshiping, he comes out, "Look, why are you here? Why are you set up in array?" And he makes a big to-do, and he curses them with his gods. And he disrupts their worship, the time that you ought to be connected to God. The devil sends something to disrupt that connection. And you say, okay, that was in the morning. Let me go and worship again in the evening before I go to bed. Let me have God on my mind. And he comes again. He comes morning and he comes evening. And he does this every day for 40 days. And in your life, the devil does this every day for as long as it takes. And what happens is that these folk who are not connected to God, led by a man who's not connected to God, now almost have no hope of finding a connection to have some hope in themselves. They're scared and will always be scared, because every time they try to connect, the devil is there with Goliath. And you have to plan that no matter what the devil does, you will connect to Jesus Christ. Because when he calls you out, it's tempting to take these things on by yourself. And it may not be a big thing that you look at. I have a story. I got laid off from a job once, and it was not a big thing to me. I said, okay, let me just send some resumes out there. My portfolio is wonderful. My experience is great, and I interview well, and it was months, and I got nothing. I never prayed about it. This was not an issue. I can do this. I didn't decide to set aside God. I decided to elevate myself. And I got zip. And when I came to my senses and prayed and said, God, obviously I can't do this. Just like that, I got a job. Doesn't have to be something big. Doesn't have to be some temptation that you're struggling with. Ordinary life circumstances that you reject God and choose something else. You will not win that battle. You might get that job, but you'll be the most miserable employee on that job. We leave God all the time to choose something that seems that it's going to be beneficial. And then we have the audacity, don't we? After we reject God, we're praying to Him earnestly for the thing to work out that we've rejected Him for. That's who we are. We follow the pattern of our early parents, Adam and Eve. There they are in the garden. And this serpent comes and says, God has not given you the freedom that you deserve. You can be just like him. You're limited here. And they followed this advice. And in their quest for this liberty, they became enslaved to sin. And we, unfortunately, are so practiced at following this behavior, it's remarkable. But make sure that when the devil comes, you are not disconnected from Jesus Christ. No matter if he comes early in the morning and late at night, and it just repeats on and on and on. Make sure you're connected to Jesus Christ. Don't let any family member stop your connection to Jesus Christ. Don't let any church member stop it. Don't let anybody stop it. No one should stop your connection to Jesus Christ.
Amen.
That is what the devil uses here. Morning and evening. These servants of Saul had no opportunity then to mature into servants of the living God. But let's go back to David. David is sent by his father to send some food. And I just want to jump down to verse 22. And David left his carriage in the hand of a keeper and the carriage and ran to the army and came and saluted his brethren. Now, these brethren, you know from the previous chapter, were passed over by God and by Samuel. And David was blessed. The first person that was passed over was his elder brother. And his elder brothers did not like him because of that, despised him because of that. And we know from the previous chapter also that he was chosen to be Saul's armor bearer. And so he had honor. And these men did not have that honor. And now that the battle was there, they were satisfied that he was sent home. And they were sent to the battle. But now they're scared because they're not led and they're not connected. Here comes David. This is the worst time for him to show up, this Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. And he shows up and he salutes them like nothing's wrong and he wants to see what's going on. And the men of Israel, in 22, And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper and the carriage and ran into the army and came to salute the brethren. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words. And now David hears them. What does he do when he hears this man cursing God's people? And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him and were sore afraid. Have you ever seen these movies where you have a lot of people and they said, someone step forward to do this, and everyone steps back and one person's left standing? Here is David. I mean, everyone is just gone when Goliath comes out. And the men of Israel said, have you seen this man? Now they're relating this to David. Have you seen this man that has come up? 12 feet tall, 225 pounds he's wearing on him, and he's ready to kill. Surely, to defy Israel is he come up. And it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. And David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, what shall be done? He wants to know, is this really true? What is supposed to be done to the person who kills this guy? Because David, in his mind, this is nothing. Yep. These men have come under Saul's power. And that's not enough. David has come with the knowledge that God provides all for him. And so to him, this can't be true. This bounty for doing this? You tell me, is that true? And they repeat it again. And I don't want to get too much into next week's lesson. But I need you to understand that David's approach is that he comes in the name of the Lord. And the battle is not his, it's the Lord's. And if you are to be servants of the living God, you must hold true to this. That there is no giant that the devil can bring your way. Not enough for God. Not enough for Jesus.